I love this type of genre. And Hilary, Detective Quinlan is such a crazy complicated character in the best way for an actor, I feel like. And I'm just wondering for you, we see a lot of her backstory from what we see in the movie, but for you guys, how did you create that backstory and figuring out how to figure out her mentality? Hilary, I'll start with you.
First of all, thank you so much for seeing the movie twice.
Yeah, I loved it.
Thank you. It's a fun ride. She's complicated. All the characters are complicated, just like human beings are. And I love that. We're all flawed. We all make mistakes. It's just how we choose to walk through and move on from those mistakes and learn from them or not. And I love that about this whole story. I also love that you don't really know, like who's good, who's bad. It's just like, we're all kind of just finding our way, like I just said. And I think with Val, the roller coaster ride of her is that she pretty much made a horrible mistake. It's pretty grave, right? And she tried really hard to rectify it. She worked hard and she wanted a second chance. And when she didn't get that, things just derailed for her. And I can understand that. I wouldn't make those same choices, but I can definitely see why someone would.
Do you feel like, is there a specific moment where you feel like she went, because as when you portrayed her, I sort of feel like she was this, normal kind of moms, that had problems, but maybe didn't necessarily get a lot of the support that she needed, didn't have a lot of the friends that she should have. Is there a particular moment that you guys created together where you felt like, and this is the moment in her life where she's going to snap? Deon, is that something that you guys kind of talked about together before filming?
Yeah, it was actually, that's a very good question. You and your husband are good. You know that? I'm a fan, man. Like y'all.
This is why I like to see a movie a second time.
Great. Yeah, there was actually a real moment, and me and Hilary actually sat down and talked about that moment because we were trying to figure out what is the perfect time for her to actually say, okay, all bets are off. I'm going down the rabbit hole. And we highlight that moment, I think, significantly well in the film when she takes the drink. And she returns, she has the moment with her husband, and it's like, that's rock bottom. It's like everything. And what I love about this moment, I'll shut up in a second because I love the movie, but both characters have a metaphysical death at the same exact time. Ealy dies on the beach and she dies in front of her husband's house. And at that exact moment, that's when the trigger happens. And I'm like, oh man, this is great because you have two empty souls that are completely like, I don't know what I'm gonna do in life. And boom, they meet and it blows up.
Yes, no, and I love that so much. Thank you for expanding on that. Hilary, I know you are the queen of training for your roles. I'm honestly curious if there was any particular, I know, and you probably have done some of this training before, but any of like the handgun training or fight choreography that you had to do, did you have to do anything specific to play Val?
Yeah, you have to learn how to use those weapons. It was something I asked Deon and Roxanne early on, was like, I don't want to look, I'm a cop, so I know how to handle weapons and I want to look like I know what I'm doing. So they hired someone and I got some lessons with weapons and an understanding really how to utilize all of them correctly. Because that's always weird, when you're watching something and it just takes you out of the movie and you're like, a cop wouldn't hold a gun like that.
No, you do like the best job ever. I'm like, oh, Michael even told me that he was intimidated during the first scene you guys shot. And that was just in the car with nothing.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like learning, doing physical stuff too. And Deon and I also talked about training and making sure that I looked physically like a cop, because there's so much validity to that as well. So yeah, I love the physicality of characters and I love being physical and I love working out. So it's a win-win.
But first, before we talk about the movie, this is going to be airing in the Baltimore area. And I know you grew up in Maryland. I'm just curious, what memories you have of the Baltimore area and what you want to say to my Baltimore audience.
What's good, Baltimore? What's good? Listen, my memories of Baltimore growing up, because I grew up in Silver Spring. And, the only time we went to Baltimore was to go to the harbor for like a field trip, right? And the funnel cake was just out of this world, right? So it's between King's Dominion and the harbor where you got funnel cake,
Yep.
right? And so, but it's interesting because I recently shot a movie there in Baltimore and started to see all kinds of things that I never even knew existed in Baltimore. And so I got a lot of love for Baltimore. I need to come back and actually like see Baltimore with people who, know Baltimore better than I did growing up. And, I caught up with a friend of mine named Wallace while I was there on that movie. And we spent so much time talking about our kids and how amazing it is that we actually grew up and had kids. So, but just driving around and, seeing what I saw, I was like, wow, I grew up like 30 minutes from this city and I know very little about it, but I remember the music scene a little bit, but now it's like, it's a whole different place now.
Yeah, no, it is. And that was for me. I was born and raised in Southern Maryland, and going to Baltimore, we were like going to the aquarium or the harbor for a field trip. So it's so funny that you say that. Well, like I said, I love the movie so much. I'm honestly curious if you and Hilary had any type of chemistry reading or any type of reading prior to filming. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Not a one.
That's so crazy. So when did you guys first meet then?
We first met at a fitting.
Okay.
Hilary I remember this specifically. I was coming into the fitting rooms and she was coming out in she had just done like a picture of her like in full police gear.
Okay.
And that was like, and ironically, that wasn't the first time we met, but it was the first time we met on set. We didn't know that it wasn't the first time we met. We figured that out about a year later. But yeah, she was incredible. She was extremely warm and sweet. And then, our first time working together was a scene where I walk out of my office building and she pulls up and she's like, get in the car. And I'm like, I don't say anything. I just get in the car. And I'm like, okay. So
wow, that particular scene, that sequence was one of the first moments you shot?
That was the first shot I had with her.
Oh my God, that's kind of intimidating too in that particular moment. So interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I came in that day and I shot like a couple of scenes and then I shot that scene with Hilary and I was like, okay, all right, good. That was a great way to introduce this character and the dynamic between us. Now let's play some music. Let's do some other things. You know what I mean? And that's what happened. So it was magical on that level.
Yeah, I was talking to Roxanne about just the amazing house. I think that she said that was on top of Mulholland Drive that you guys filmed in. And I know that there was that awesome car there as well. Did you actually get to drive that car? Because I was like, did he actually drive all around Mulholland Drive when they were filming?
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
Did you just have a blast?
I got to drive the car in downtown LA.
Yeah.
Right? And I got to drive it like out of the driveway up on Mulholland. But I'm scared of heights. So I can't drive on like cliffs. Right? Like I can't drive up the California coast because once you get into the mountains, I got to pull over and let somebody else drive. I can't do it. But yeah, that was I got to drive it around downtown LA, and that was interesting to see people see me driving a Lamborghini down in downtown LA, and I got to drive it on PCH and in Santa Monica. So I got to drive it a couple times. It was fun, but it wasn't my first time driving one, but it was my first time driving one on camera.
I loved it. Well, like I said before, I love the movie. Congratulations. Thank you for your time today and stay safe out there. I appreciate you talking to a local Maryland girl.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have a great holiday. I'm glad y'all got some snow.
Yeah, we did. We did get some snow. It's icy here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. Have a good holiday.
Thanks, Lauren.